Hello, YouTube, and fellow members of the Rebellion. It is I, once again, the Dread Pirate, filming once again from a top-secret location far out at sea. And, yes, it has happened. I have finally seen Solo, a Star Wars story. Excuse me, Solo. Soilo. I love it. Not the movie. I love the hate. The hate is delicious. I have seen the movie, and so I would like to get this out of the way first and foremost that I very much boycotted this movie. I did not support this movie. I did not support this movie because I wanted to send a clear message to Disney that we are not happy with the direction they are taking Star Wars in. We want our Star Wars back. We want it done right. And, of course, how did I see the movie? Well, good old Dread Pirate here has his ways. I saw the movie. I did not pay for the movie. Simply, support. You might do something like I did, like, I don't know, go see Deadpool 2 again, pay for a ticket for Deadpool 2 and sneak into the Solo theater. I'm not, just tread carefully, of course, depending on how strict your theater is, but basically, the point is, I did not pay to see Solo, a Star Wars movie, but I did see it. I wanted to see it just to verify that, in fact, Star Wars is, in fact, dead. And this is the poking of the stick. I'd call it an autopsy, but it's really just kind of nudging it and making sure, yep, dead. I boycotted the movie to send a clear message, but you know what? After having seen the film, I think I advise you all, just like if you want a quick non-spoiler review, you don't have to boycott the film and send a message to Disney to not see this film. You should not see this film because it's genuinely a bad film. It is genuinely bad. It's hard to say if it's worse than The Last Jedi or better. I guess for me, it's about the same. It's about the same, it's, I guess, probably arguably more enjoyable on the grounds that there are some good ideas in this movie. There are some things that are actually kind of cool to see, but they're like immediately trounced upon by whatever happens immediately following. This review obviously will contain spoilers, and I want to talk about the stuff I liked about the movie, the stuff I hated about the movie, and mostly the things I hated. There was a lot to hate. I feel like I would like, before I go any further, I would just like to say that, listen, I understand he's taking it kind of hard. That the movie hasn't done well. If Ron Howard ever sees this or listens to this, I would like to say, Ron, listen, honey, this isn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. You are just the guy who was hired to finish this disaster. You did the best you could. We don't blame you. You are awesome. You are a wonderful person, and you are a great director. And I love pretty much everything else you've done. I'm all excited about Arrested Development Season 5. The meeting to actually watch that. You are a great guy. This is nothing personal against you, and I don't, please don't take the reaction to this movie too hard. Part of what's happening here is a lot of people are protesting because we don't like the direction Star Wars is going in right now, and the other half is that this movie is just a mess. Once again, also this. Lord and Miller can handle this. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Listen, yeah, I don't blame you guys for this at all. You guys are great. I love everything you've done. I love the Lego movie. I love Lego Batman. You guys are awesome, and you guys got fired anyway. You got fired by the person who I am going to blame, Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy is everything wrong with this film, and it shows. Like, all the parts of this film that basically feel out of place and wrong, you could directly link to her politics and her just her inability to tell a story properly. I feel like this movie is in many ways like the difference with The Last Jedi is that The Last Jedi, it was a surprise it was bad. I liked The Force Awakens, I liked Rogue One, I like Rebels. And the only thing that Star Wars that Lucasfilm had done since George Lucas sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney, that I had a genuine problem with, was the decision to make the expanded universe no longer canon. I am not a. I had a long conversation about this film with my best friend, who I've decided to call my first mate because he really doesn't want me to call it, and he thinks it's gay of me to call him that. But my first mate and I had a long talk about this, and he is more of a expanded universe scholar than I am. That's really kind of, I wanted his insights on this. He has read way more of the novels and the comics than I have, but he's also told me about their content, and told me about what's going on in this book, what's going on in this comic, and it's just making me love it. Whereas I am more of a video game guy. I've played Knights of the Old Republic. I've played 1 and 2. I've played a lot of the games like Dark Forces. I've played Masters of Terraskai. When it comes to the video game expanded universe stuff, I'm more on that because I'm a Philistine who does not read. I've always meant to read the Star Wars books and the comics. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm lazy. I'm sorry. But it's like, yeah, the expanded universe stuff is good, and it's like, yeah, it's in my wheelhouse. It's just there's other things I'm reading, and I read slow. Right now, I'm like reading like Necroscope 3 by Brian Lumley, and it's really good. I'm almost done with it, but that's another story. But I think what was like the thing is though, I liked The Force Awakens, I liked Rogue One, I liked Rebels, and then all of a sudden I was expecting going in, with December time to The Last Jedi to expect it to be good. And it turns out not to be good. It was, and again, as I stated in my review of it, thousands of years of 2 months ago, way back, I basically, I said that I initially liked it, and then I thought about it, and I really didn't like it. And I think part of the problem with The Last Jedi is, I think for a lot of people, a surprise that there's a problem. For people that had liked the previous 2 Star Wars films, for people that had liked, the stuff, Marvel's films, a lot of stuff that Disney was doing, it came as a shock to suddenly realize, oh, wait, there's a serious problem here at Lucasfilm. The thing about this movie is, going in, we know Lucasfilm sucks right now. We know that their content is garbage. They're not producing anything. They don't know how to write a Star Wars story. They're disrespectful to the original source material, and so just kind of going in, you just kind of expect it to be bad, and it was. I want to talk about a lot of the problems of the movie. So we are going to get into spoilers like right now. So this movie, one of the big problems it has that I noticed was it's the same problem as The Last Jedi, is that it never lets you breathe for a minute. This shit is constantly happening. There's no there's only one point where we really see we are told that there's a significant passage of time. Just all the events in this movie are just kind of going one after the other, after the other, after the other, and just like way too rapid. So I'd like to talk about the beginning of the movie. I'd like to talk about the beginning sequence. So the movie starts out with Han Solo hot wiring a hover car, and he steals it. And he's running away from the people he stole it from. They're chasing him, and we see those fucking dice again that had nothing to do with Han Solo until The Force Awakens, and it is suddenly super important. He's got those fucking dice again. He goes back to his shitty home on Corellia, where he meets Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and they make out, and it's like, I stole this awesome thing, and now we can get out of this shitty planet. Yeah. Oh, but no, then there's Lady Proxima. Lady Proxima is apparently some bullshit character I've never heard of. She's a alien crime boss. She's like a big worm lady who apparently can't stand the sunlight because sunlight will kill her. And she controls Corellia and makes it a shithole, and is that's like people are under her thumb, and he gets in trouble with her. And so the big lizard lady kind of shows up and is like, oh, like, blah, fuck you, Solo, you're gonna die. And, well, no, she didn't call him Solo yet, because, he got his origin for his name in this thing, which is also stupid. And he pulls out a rock. It's like, I got a thermal detonator, and of course it's not a thermal detonator, it's a rock. He throws the rock at the window, it breaks the window, the light shines on her, and she's like, the sun! And then she dives into water and doesn't die, so I don't know what the point was. So then, he and Khaleesi immediately run away from Lady Proxima, and then they are chased by Lady Proxima's goons. Now, they get into essentially a hover car chase, so we had this action scene where we're in the hover cars, and they're in hover cars, and they're running away from each other on a bridge, and outside the bridge is water, and they're in a hover car, and that's one of the problems I have with this film. They're in a hover car, but yet for some reason in a high-speed chase they're obeying the laws of the land, the rules of traffic, And, you know, it's like, I would think if I had a car that could fucking fly and move in 3 dimensions and someone's chasing me, I would move in 3 dimensions. But who knows? Oh, maybe it's like, oh, don't you know? Hover cars don't go across water unless you got power. Oh, wait, this isn't Back to the Future. This is like, and if those rules are in place, you know, we have yet to be informed of that. So it makes no fucking sense that they're doing that. So then they escape, they get to this spaceport, and there's a bunch of stormtroopers all over the place. The stormtroopers are being dicks. They're arresting people and pushing them around, and they're separating kids from their families, just like Trump. Topical. Anyway, they're beating people up, and they're just being like really, really super Nazi, and it's like too much. It's like, seriously, it's like, okay, I get it. The Empire are the bad guys. So meanwhile, like the criminals are chasing them. They go up to a officer lady, and they're like, "Oh, hey, look, I got this illegal, awesome thing," and it's like, "I want to give it to you." And it's like, "I could have you arrested for that." Yeah, but what would be the point of that? No one would win in that case. Why don't you give this to us and move us in the next section of the spaceport so we can get off this planet? So the officer lady agrees to it. They give her the stolen thingy, and she opens the door. And they start letting them in, but then the bad guys that were chasing them find them, and she panics and she closes the door. So Han Solo has gotten to the other part, but Khaleesi hasn't gone in, and they're separated. It's like, no, let me have her, no, just stay alive. Whatever happens, just stay alive. I will find you. And he's lost the love of his life, and he's upset, and he's walking around, and there's propaganda for the Empire going like, enjoy the new life. Yeah, enjoy the good life in the off-world colonies. Become a citizen today and become a stormtrooper. All this bullcrap. And he immediately goes up to a Imperial officer and requests to become a member of the Empire, become a stormtrooper. I think in his case he wants to be like a pilot. Why did I tell you all of that? Why did I tell you all that information about what immediately happened in the movie? Because this is like the first 15 minutes of the movie. And it's not the passage of time. That's the first 15 minutes of what we see. In terms of the actual movie itself, this is about an hour of time for the characters. Like, in the past hour, Han Solo hotwired a car, stole something, made out with his girlfriend, got in trouble with a crime boss, ran away from said crime boss, made a deal with Imperial officer, got separated from the love of his life, and then immediately joins the Empire. There is, once again, no room to breathe. No room to take this in. No room to say, maybe show passage of time, and maybe a couple of days passed here or there. No. They rushed all these major events and all this stuff happening within a span of like 1 hour of the character's life. And that's the kind of shit we go through this whole movie. The only passage of time happens after that, where we cut like 3 years later or so, some amount of time later, and we see him in a war zone. And we see him meet up with Woody Harrelson's character, Beckett, and his little crew of gangsters. So then the rest of the action of the movie takes place over about, like, I'd say about 4 days, which includes a lot of shit. It includes things like the Kessel Run, includes him getting the Millennium Falcon for Lando, it includes this whole crazy caper that they go on. He winds up forming a bond with Beckett, all this kind of bullshit, again, which probably would have been better and more interesting if it had been shown maybe in a montage of having it taking place over a couple of months, maybe a year, showing some kind of significant passage of time. No, it's all rushed, just like The Last Jedi. It's all just kind of rushed forward at lightning speed. This one thing I noticed too, in particular, that's particularly infuriating about this movie is, like, part of what makes it annoying is that, and I think a lot of people have said this before I have, is that this movie is completely unnecessary because of the expanded universe, which, again, Disney decided to make non-canon to piss us all off. We don't need this. We don't need an origin story for Han Solo. We already had a perfectly good origin story for Han Solo and pretty much every other single character in the Star Wars universe up until this point. And we didn't need them changed. We didn't need them altered. We didn't need any of this. We didn't need them to retread this kind of material before. And so that's part of what's frustrating about it. But there was another thing I noticed that was particularly infuriating, is that they told us way back prior to Force Awakens the expanded universe is no longer canon. And yeah, that was very interesting. Okay. So then, how come Thrawn is in Rebels? How come Grand Admiral Thrawn's in Rebels? How come they keep on referencing things that have already been established in the expanded universe? How come they keep on mining the expanded universe for material, like they do in this movie? And that's one thing that really annoyed me. There's a scene when they're on Kessel, and Khaleesi punches out one of the bad guys, and L3 asks her, "Oh, how did you learn how to do that?" "Oh, Well, I know martial arts. I know Terrace Kai. Terrace Kai, really? Terrace Kai? You mean the martial arts system that exists in the Star Wars universe that was featured in the PlayStation game Star Wars Masters of Terrace Kai? Really? Fuck you, Disney. Jesus. Fuck you, Lucasfilm. What the? You guys. It's just like, it reminds me of the Disney New 52. Well, not the Disney New 52. The DC Comics New 52, which is the type of thing, which is something I complained about before I got on YouTube. When DC Comics did its big reboot, a couple years back, which they assured us we're all gonna like it. Oh, don't worry, you'll learn to love it. It's like a rape fic. It's like a rapist. Oh, don't worry, you'll learn to like my penis. It's like we never learned to like the New 52. The New 52 was bad, and we didn't appreciate it. It felt like one of the problems with the New 52 was they basically retconned the entire DC universe and said, like, none of this, either none of the stuff that we like about the characters that have been previously established, none of that happened, we're starting fresh, or it all happened with a span of 5 years. And I'm talking like, Bruce Wayne having like a 13 to 14-year-old kid within 5 years, and having all these crazy adventures and everything we'd had previously in DC Comics in 5 years. And one of the problems was that, like, some books would be brand spanking new. Like, Superman would be, like, it would be brand new, and Justice League would be brand new. It's happening for the first time. But then, meanwhile, Jeff Johns would just do whatever he wanted in Green Lantern. And he would just like, that's nice, Dan DiDio. I'm just going to do the Green Lantern storyline that I've always done. So Green Lantern doesn't reboot. Green Lantern just keeps on going. And Jeff Johns writes what he was intending to write in the first place. Meanwhile, you also have, like, stuff like the Batman books. The Batman books just continued on from where they were going. They never reset. So one of the things I'm noticing a problem with Star Wars is that not only are they claiming that the expanded universe is no longer canon, but at the same time, they're also mining it for material. So they're not really, it's like they made it non-canon, but are still referencing it. They're not doing all this talk of, we want to do something new, we want to do something different. They're not doing anything different. They're using the same characters. They're rewriting the same material. It's like a reboot all over again, and a bad one. They're just using and mining our material badly. There are two major points in this movie, like two scenes I have to bitch about. I have to bitch about these because, again, like they were some of like the biggest things they wanted to hammer home in this film, which is two key moments, which would be the Kessel Run and Lando losing the Millennium Falcon to Han. And one thing that's really infuriating about this is that, once again, these were already established in the expanded universe, and they were completely different. Now, mind you, they were kind of played off as jokes. But they were just kind of simple stories. They were both done in comic books. The original Kessel Run was it was a dangerous area, heavily patrolled by the Empire. It was a dangerous route that smugglers had to go through, but like they would often use to smuggle all different types of goods, and it was kind of a big deal. It was a game between smugglers to see how well and how quickly you could do the Kessel Run. Without being caught by the Empire, without being hassled by the Empire. So there was a relatively short comic book story where we see the Kessel Run. We see Han Solo handle the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, and he very, it's kind of played for comedy. It's kind of played for groups. It's not that big a deal, but it's a simple, fine story that kind of expands on it. And part of the joke is the fact that, Han Solo thinks the Kessel Run is such a big fucking deal. It's like it's the type of thing that only smugglers would get. If it made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Well, Luke doesn't know what the Kessel Run is. Luke's a farm boy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Hell, Obi-Wan's a Jedi, and he doesn't know what it is. But smugglers know what it is. It's something he kind of prides it on. It's funny. It's a joke. The other thing was Lando losing the Millennium Falcon, which was also done in a comic book. There's been a couple of different novels and comics that have handled him losing it, and usually like Han won it by kind of cheating or whatnot, but my favorite one was handled in the comics, and it was just 2 pages. It was 2 pages. It didn't take place on whatever shitty, stupid planet they set it in this movie. It took place on Tatooine. It was outside of Katina. The Millennium is shown outside, and we see Lando just like, no, this is bullshit. This is ridiculous. How could I lose? How could I lose this? And then like Han sitting back in the bar laughing. It's like, you lost your shit, man. It's mine now. And we cut to Lando. And Lando is good old-fashioned Billy Dean Williams Lando with this massive 70s fro. this massive, beautiful Rick James 70s throw, Snow Glow 70s throw, and it's funny. It's a quick little scene, and that's it. It's done. Here, no. Here, a good chunk of the damn movie is dedicated to the Kessel Run. It's overblown. They're trying too hard. They make it this big deal. This big deal where they have to go to the spice mines of Kessel, and they have to get the MacGuffin, which is it's hyper fuel type crap, because they're doubling down on that fuel shit from The Last Jedi. They got to get this fuel, and they gotta cause like a slave riot there, and the stupid L3 character causes the droids to riot. There's a big fight. They fight. They get the stuff, and then Kessel. The problem with Kessel is Kessel's in this shitty part of the galaxy, which is full of like nebulas, and there's all these big cosmic storms full of asteroids and dust and debris and stuff like that. And so they're making their way out of it, and they have a short amount of time, because if they don't, the stuff that they got's going to explode. So they're doing that, and they have no choice. They get attacked by an Imperial Star Destroyer. They have no choice but to like dip into the cloud itself to escape, and they're pursued by TIE fighters. So they're running from TIE fighters, they're dodging asteroids and shit like that. And then all of a sudden, they run right into Azathoth, mighty lord of the outer gods, king of the great old ones. He and his piping flute is at the center of the universe, dancing in madness. They run into this giant space monster. They run into this giant, badass space monster, and it's one of the things I liked. The space monster looked cool. It's got a bunch of eyes and tentacles. It's a Cthulhu monster. I love Cthulhu monsters. They run into this damn thing, and it's pretty scary, and it's kind of cool, and they're flying away from it. Well, here's the thing, though. Part of the reason why there's all these crazy cosmic storms in the Kessel system is because there's a bunch of gravity wells there. Basically, black holes. This fucking thing, this monster, is just chilling out right next to a gravity well. Right next to a black well. A black hole. It's like it's his lamp. It's like it's his freaking lamp on his nightstand. That's basically what it is. It's right next to it. So the monster starts chasing it. They're running away from it. Han's like, don't worry, I got this. I know how to stop this thing. He gets really, really close to the gravity well, drops their escape pods, tricks the monster into eating it, and the monster flies in the gravity well and dies. Now, this is a giant space monster. Space monster. That lives in space. It was born in space, is 100% adapted to space. Not only is it that, it lives in this dust cloud full of constant debris flying all over the place. It lives in this little shitty part of space. And it lives right next to a massive gravity well. A black hole. A freaking black hole. Wouldn't one assume logically that a creature like this would be 100% adapted and evolved to survive the gravitational effects of a black hole? Wouldn't one assume that running over the black hole wouldn't affect this creature in the slightest? Apparently not. And it's over and done. It's like, this is a really cool monster, instantly dead. It just felt like it was a wasted opportunity, and all part of this whole thing to kind of bloat the Kessel Run and make it something bigger than it needed to be. The poker game with Lando is drawn out needlessly for no goddamn reason. It's overdone when really, again, it was done better in the comics, simple and funny. And then there's another thing I want to talk about. Another good example of them taking a good idea and ruining it. I got to bring up the ending. So Beckett betrays them. Beckett, of course, again, is Woody Harrelson's character. So Woody Harrelson betrays them, and by the way, I want to say, like, at least from an acting standpoint, I don't think anybody did a bad job of acting. I mean, I don't accept Aaron Aldrich, I believe is his name, that played Han Solo. I do not accept him as Han. I do not accept him as my Han Solo. I don't appreciate him being forced down my throat. But again, nothing against these people. I mean, again, maybe I'm a little sensitive to this with the whole Kelly Marie Tran stuff going on right now. But I want to point out that I feel like everybody in this movie did a fine job, like, for what they were given. They just weren't given a whole lot of material to work with. And I think Woody Harrelson did fine for the script what he was given. The script he's given, though, is crap. Other people have pointed out, Left Foot Media is one of the guys I watched as well. Left Foot Media points out that basically he's like, he's teaching Han how to be like a harsh smuggler and whatnot, but at the same time he's also like, not to care about anybody, not to trust anybody, yet he clearly cares and trusts them. And it's just like, so, like, you're not even following your own fucking advice. It's stupid. Anyway, so at the very end of the movie, he betrays them. Beckett betrays them. he's taken Chewbacca hostage, and he's kind of having Chewbacca carry this the MacGuffin out with him, and he's got a gun pointed at him, and he's moving him away. Well, Han gets out of the trouble that he's in, meets them off at the pass, and basically comes in front of them. And he's got a gun drawn on him. So Beckett starts talking, and Han immediately shoots him. And this makes sense because, this was really cool. Basically, he didn't talk to the guy he just shot. So Han shot first. So again, it's a fucking reference. Get it? Because Han shot first. Anyway, but it's fine. It shows that he's being smart. He's being a harsh person he needs to be to survive. And on top of that, one thing that Woody Harrelson does in this movie that I thought was all right. I wasn't in love with it, but it was interesting. Was he's very clearly established as an expert gunslinger. He's constantly twirling his guns around and shooting bad guys like he's freaking Star-Lord. He's always doing that. So it's like, yeah. So he doesn't hesitate. He just shoots him because he knows the more he talks, he's gonna make his move and he's gonna die. So Han shot first. He shot Beckett, but then they ruin it because immediately after shooting Beckett, he immediately runs to Beckett's side, holds his hand, and comforts him as he dies. That's stupid. Way to undermine shooting him first. You don't just, okay, you shot him first because he's dangerous. He's still not dead yet. He can still reach his guns and take you with him. What if he has a knife on him? What if he just decides to choke you as he's dying and, basically chokes you up by, making sure his hand, grips you in rigor mortis and he chokes you to death? He's still a threat. But no, he's my father figure. He's my father figure. I have to comfort him as he goes because I've known him all of 4 days. It's like, there's so much stupid. There is so much stupid in this movie that undercuts anything that might have been a good idea. Also, I get the sense that they're trying way too hard. Again, back to the stormtroopers in the on Corellian. There's a bunch of obvious expositional dialogue where basically it's like, oh yeah, we're the kids are fighting with each other because they don't have any money because they get it because it's Corellian and we're really really poor and things suck and Lady Proxima's a bitch. It's like they have to just beat you over the head with it. The scene in the spaceport with the stormtroopers, every time the stormtroopers are seen, the stormtroopers are just over the top douchebags. I have never seen the stormtroopers act like this before in any of the Star Wars movies, and I'm including The Force Awakens where they just gun down a bunch of civilians. It's like these stormtroopers are just act like dickheads just to do it. They're pushing people around and arresting people and just being like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, we're tough guys. And it was like in the original trilogy, the stormtroopers were assholes. They would kill you. They were definitely oppressive. They were jackbooted thugs, but they were also felt like they were real human beings. These things are and I get that the stormtroopers are supposed to be kind of like Nazis, but it's like they're just hammering home every single Nazi cliche you've ever seen with these freaking stormtroopers. They're just being. It's like I get it, Kathleen. I get the Empire is the bad guy. You don't need to fucking convince me. It's like they're just trying way too hard to show what massive jerks they are. And really, it's funny. You know what is a better example of the stormtroopers being dicks and being believable dicks? The fucking Star Wars Christmas special. I remember back in the day with the Christmas special, the stormtroopers come in, they're looking for rebels, they're acting like jerks, they force their way into Chewbacca's home. They're searching around for rebels. They kick over and break Lumpy's toys. They're just being jackbooted dicks. But they're not needlessly just punching people. They don't fucking take Mala and beat the shit out of her. Or throw Lumpy off. They don't do anything over the top or crazy, but they're just acting enough of a dick to know that they're the bad guys. They shut down the freaking cantina, B. Arthur's Cantina on Tatooine, just to show they're dickheads, they're oppressive, they're assholes, but they're also kind of reasonable. We established in the original continuity that the stormtroopers are academy recruits. They are the legitimate government at this time, so a lot of normal, ordinary people will be recruited and go and think they're serving their glorious emperor and go become stormtroopers. A lot of these people are people. And again, as my first mate pointed out, there's plenty of examples in Star Wars of the stormtroopers being portrayed as monsters and doing terrible things, and that's been done better in plenty of novels, which demonstrates that. And also, he also pointed out that, again, Lucas wasn't perfect, and Lucas did plenty of things we don't like. where he'll try to have his cake and eat it too, having like the stormtroopers be really, really bad, but then try to be, all PG and like not too bad for the kids. And it's like, and he pointed that out as a bad thing, and it's like, well, to me that's not a bad thing. It showed me that George showed restraint. George, and say what you will about George Lucas and all of his imperfections, and his seeming love of camp. It's like I prefer that over what we're getting here. It's too much. They're beating you over the head with it. Okay. So, let's talk about feminism for a minute, because that's always something I love to talk about. Let's talk about the worst character in Star Wars to date. It's a couple movies. Just a couple months, past couple movies, we suddenly have Jar Jar completely, well, not 100% redeemed, but just certainly no longer on the shit list of worst character in Star Wars. We had Holdo, we had, like, Rose, and in both cases, SJW stuff. It's like the pink-haired tumblerina of Holdo, the perfect, glorious Mary Sue that is Rey, and the environmentalist obnoxiousness that is Rose. All that, you know what? That was subtle compared to L-3. L-3 is I have never hated a character like I hate L3. L3 is just an obnoxious, obvious, in-your-face, annoying, completely unsubtle SJW. That's all she is. She comes in screaming constantly about droid rights and how droids are oppressed and everybody and just being a dick about it, and has no personality outside of that. None whatsoever. She's just a miserable, obnoxious shrew of a character. And once again, this material has been explored. The idea of droids' rights, we've gone there. We've gone Asimov with Star Wars before. You can check out the very awesome droid comics from back in the 90s. In the expanded universe, we have dealt with droids' rights. We have dealt with the fact that, that they are sapient creatures that are treated poorly and enslaved. We didn't need this. Again, Star Wars was always tolerant. Star Wars has been always tolerant. The geek culture in general has always been tolerant. We nerds are the most accepting people ever. We were treated bad. We were bullied for liking speculative fiction, for basically daring to dream and imagine. So we accept everybody. At least the best of us do. And that's represented in the material that we like. Comics were always like this. Comics were always accepting. The creators who did so. Star Wars is always accepting. Science fiction has always been accepting. We did not need this invasion. We did not need this invasion to preach to us and tell us about how wrong we are. It's been completely unnecessary. And this character is completely insufferable and miserable. Not to mention, let's talk about the pansexuality between her and Lando. So apparently, the pansexuality boils down to the fact that, all right, she's a female robot, feminine form, but is unattractive. She doesn't look like a woman. She doesn't look like something any normal heterosexual man or anyone that has a libido that says, hey, women is hot, would ever want to fuck. She looks like a toaster. She looks like a modern CD player. It's like, yeah, I'll stick my dick in that. And apparently Lando in this movie would stick his dick in that. Because reasons. And again, yeah, Lando was never like that. Lando was all into Leia. Lando, I was pretty sure was wanted to take freaking Leia from Han. It was like, oh, hand don't work out. I'm right here. It was like, yeah, this was never. It's ridiculous. But apparently he's like in love with her. That's what we established. We have this whole scene where like she's talking to Khaleesi. I will continue to call her Khaleesi. I know her name is Emilia Clarke. She's talking to Emilia Clarke, and she's and she goes at length for no reason, telling her about how Lando's in love with her, but she's not interested. And it's just all to establish that he's pansexual. All to do it for no reason. It serves no purpose. And Emilia Clarke's just kind of like looking away like, I can't believe I'm having this fucking conversation right now. I can't believe that's happening. And it's like, and again, this is the problem with SJW writing. They put sex in there. They put a person's or character's sexuality in there for no fucking reason. Like it adds anything when it doesn't. It has no bearing on the plot. It has no bearing on their mission. It has nothing to do with anything, and it's not interesting, and it doesn't go anywhere. And again, let's talk about droids you can fuck. Again, we've covered this before in science fiction. Data banged Tasha Yar, Episode 2, Star Trek: The Next Generation. We've always had droids that are hot. We've had even We've had the sex bot in Heavy Metal 2000, which, I guess that's too sexist for everybody. Whatever. Heavy Metal's awesome. Heavy Metal 2000 freaking kicks ass. And so we had the sex bot in that. We've had, oh god, all right, I need to find examples. We've had like, okay, Summer Glau as the hot Terminator in freaking in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Hell, recently, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the very end of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, spoiler alert for Ash vs. the Evil Dead, at the very end, he runs into this really hot, I think she's called Lex, she's either a robot or a cyborg that is, like, really freaking sexy, that basically, like, rescues him from this, like, containment he's in, and wants to bring him to, like, the human resistance and all that, fighting the Deadites. It's like, yeah, we've done droids that you can fuck before. We've done this multiple times. The Daily Show's done it. Samantha Bee did it. Samantha Bee did it in a Daily Show sketch way back in the day. It's like, sex with... Avengers has done it. Avengers has done it. And at least, like, Vision and Scarlet Witch. And at least, like, Vision is a hot guy. Vision is a hot, handsome dude who doesn't even really need a human form, but he got one in that movie, in Infinity War. You know, it's like, okay, we've done the whole android falls in love thing. We've done this before numerous times to much better effect. And it's not needed here. And the only good thing, the only really good thing about this movie for me is that L3 dies. Oh, she dies. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So she gets gunned down on Kessel. She gets shot to pieces, and Lando runs to save her, and he tries to help her up, but winds up ripping her torso off. And it's like, yes, make the bitch suffer, make her suffer. And they take her back to the Millennium Falcon, and she dies slowly, and she's like, Lando, I'm going away. Lando says, no, please don't go. And it's supposed to be heartfelt, because we're supposed to love this character. We're supposed to love this obnoxious, shrill, miserable character. And all I could do was sit there with my eyes closed, feeling not those emotions, but feeling two emotions, feeling complete and utter joy and sexual ecstasy at her demise. And I sat there, yes, I can feel her slipping away. And by the way, androids do dream of electric sheep. Oh yeah, replicants. There's another robot you could fuck. You know what? Do androids have souls? Yes, they do, because I know. I consumed L3's soul as she expired. It was beautiful. It was better than Snoke's death in the previous movie, because I hated Snoke too. But it was like, yeah, the only good thing was she died. And then, of course, she had the best, like, nav computer in the world, so they made that part of the Millennium Falcon. So, so what a fitting end. Now she's the droid that was so interested in frickin' droid rights is now a permanent slave and fixture of the Millennium Falcon, trapped there forever, servicing humans. And as my first mate pointed out to me, yeah, and then in A New Hope, since that's established now that basically L3 is the Millennium Falcon's computer, R2-D2, when he was communicating the computer, inserting that very foul-like appendage of his into it, it's like, yeah, R2 was fucking her. R2's been fucking L3. So, yeah. Enjoy my fucked up humor, people. But it just, I loved seeing L3 die. She was such a miserable character, I couldn't stand her. More SJW nonsense. Okay, so, again, I'm not following the new continuity, because I'm insulted that my old continuity got taken away. But they're these sort of kind of villains. Left Foot Media pointed out there's a real problem with this movie. There's a real lack of a villain. We get these, like, weird guys, I think they're the Skyriders, and they're these weird marauders that look like space barbarians. They got that crazy kind of bush, like, Boba Fett hood helmet thing, but they have, like, fur and stuff on them. They look like space barbarians and stuff like that. And one, the leader has, like, a big axe, and they basically attack Beckett and his crew when they're doing this train job, which, again, was done better in Firefly, I would like to point out. Done safer in Firefly. Mal actually got the goods where they fucked up in this one. They attack them. They basically lead to the death of Val and the four-armed alien dude who slowly dies in front of Han Solo. And by the way, I felt was a much more likable and interesting character than L3. They basically killed them, and then we find out at the end of the movie that, oh, the leader's really a young girl. She's a young girl, and the Marauders aren't bad people. The Crimson Dawn Syndicate has been taking things from them, and they're a resistance movement. They're a rebellion against them, and they're working against the Empire as well, and they're allies. and they come to help them, and it's just like, yeah, didn't you attack them? Like, didn't you attacking them lead to Val and the four-armed guy dying? Didn't, like, one of your people kill the four-armed alien guy? Didn't that happen? And now you just want to join sides. I'm also now going to repeat a lot of what other people have said. That Dryden is supposed to be this like badass mamma gem of a villain. I think there's an important scene like to point out where it's pointed out, oh, he's got his own private army, and they send out the army, and like the sky barbarian people, they ambush them. Yeah, that private army's 10 dudes with guns. 10 dudes. To give Dryden credit, and I'm not sure who this actor is, but I thought the actor did a good job. He seemed to really be enjoying the gravitas of his character. And, I'll admit, he had little lightsaber knives, and that was his weapon, that was his thing, and that was kind of cool. That was kind of neat, but again, he's punked out relatively quickly. Then Darth Maul shows up. I heard about this, apparently he's been working for Darth Maul all this time because Darth Maul is the scheming mastermind dude, and not just like a Ronin wandering samurai, just evil who stabs things. Yeah, apparently he's a scheming guy, and in the sequels that are never going to happen, he calls away Khaleesi, who's now in charge of the Crimson Dawn Syndicate, for some kind of scheme that no one cares about. Again, Left Foot Media said this before, and I agree. This movie has prequelitis, and that is Left Foot Media. If you haven't checked out Left Foot Media, he's very, very good. He's been covering this stuff. Like, he's one of the many people that inspire me to do these videos. He's one of the guys I started watching way back, like in January, when I was still feeling through my thoughts on The Last Jedi. I think like me, kind of took him a while to kind of come to it starts with conflict and it ends with hatred. But he points out that this movie spends a lot of time focusing on things that are not important. They take one little aspect of a character, and they focus way too hard about it. We've got the stupid dice, and apparently the origin story of the dice was there's a scene, if you look at the cockpit in the Millennium Falcon in the original series, and there's a part where there's this like little chain thing with two little objects at the end of it hanging up at one scene, and apparently they decided to make these the dice, the dice keychain that's like really super important to Han in these new movies. And it's like, and it was supposed to be the type of thing where we're being super nerdy because only a really big nerd would notice things like that. And it was like, okay, Star Wars fans don't notice things like that. We may be nerdy, we may be able to know the name of every single alien in the Katina in the original A New Hope. We may be able to know every single ability or like force power, including the ones like the very obscure one Rian Johnson decided to use in The Last Jedi, but not bother to set up at all. We may know all the weapons and all the starship designs and things like that. We may know all this expanded universe material. You know what we don't pay attention to? Little bullshit in the little tiny things in the background that you can't even see well initially. But they've taken that and they've made it like, oh, this is like Han's symbol, is these stupid dice. They've made too much of a big deal about that. The Kessel Run and Lando losing the Millennium Falcon, again, those were minor details. They were fun little stories. They were handled better in the expanded universe. They focused way too much on that. Getting his name, I don't know. Couldn't his name have just been Solo? I mean, he is technically an alien from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Maybe Solo's a common family name. Why couldn't he just be called Han Solo? Why did he need an origin story for his name? He didn't. They focus on the wrong things. And you see this in a lot of movies. You see this in a lot of movies where they especially bad movies. It's one thing, like a good example is X-Men Apocalypse. When Apocalypse changes Storm's hair white, you didn't need that. And I don't even hate that movie. I like that movie for what it is. It's definitely a flawed film though. But it was that's the type of thing that they focus on. Or the whole encounter with Apocalypse is the reason why Xavier is bald. It's again, you're focusing on the wrong thing. That's not important. They get hung up on little superficial details. The other issue is, okay, Lando's really into capes. and he's got a bunch of capes. And Khaleesi's like, I had to try on a cape. And then there's a fire on the Millennium Falcon, and she's using to put it out. And again, it's like, no, that's a collector's item, a cape. Can't put out my cape. Shut up. It's like they focus like, yeah, he wore a cape. So what? He's an alien. He's like, well, I mean, and again, Han and Lando are humans, of course, but you know what I mean. They're from an alien civilization. They're from a galaxy from a long time ago and a far, far away. For all we know, like, capes are very common in this world and very fashionable. So what if he wears a lot of capes? They focus on all the wrong things. Meanwhile, I feel like we don't get a whole lot of attention to aliens. I don't feel like we've gotten any significant or interesting alien designs since The Force Awakens. Like starting with Maz Kanata, who I've never liked. I like the actress who plays her, but I've never cared for Butthole Eyes. I've never cared for her. I've never thought she was terribly interesting. And also, Homewrecker. That whole comment of it, like, well, where's my boyfriend Chewie? It was like, yeah. Oh, so fuck Mala then, right? Fuck Mala. Just like, yeah. Homewrecker. Chewie has a wife and child. Damn it. Child's name is Lumpy, and he's got a grandpa, and his grandpa really, really likes weird porn. He likes, attractive women covered in soft serve ice cream. That's what he likes. It's like, so, yeah, it's okay. So can I say anything? No, I can find more stupid things. Okay, so, he gets together with Beckett because he's on, like, some war-torn planet, and he figures out that, like, Beckett and his people are not actually members of the Empire, and he tries to look at him like, hey, I want off this planet too. I want a part of your heist, whatever you're doing. Get me out of here. And besides, if you don't, I'm just going to tell them you're not really part of you're not really a captain. And so Beckett flips the scripts on him, and since he's pretending to be a captain, he's like, yeah, this guy's a spy, throw him away. They throw him into a fucking pit where apparently they've been keeping Chewie, and Chewie's been being fed prisoners, again, which was kind of fucked up. It's like they turned Chewie into this monster, and it's like, oh good, Chewie's been eating sapient creatures. I don't feel good about that. Once again, the stormtroopers are massive dickheads just for no reason because they had a hammer it home. They escape. The Beckett is already leaving with his people. They've already smuggled the thing. They're taking off, and they run up behind him, waving, "No, please take us with us. Please take us with you." And they stop, lower the ship, and let them come aboard. You guys are criminals. You guys are bad guys. You stole shit from the Galactic Empire, from the government. Run, bitch. Get to space. Haven't you watched Firefly? You can't take the sky from me. They can't find you up there. Go to fucking space. Jesus. It's like, I feel like another, like, instrumental problem with this movie is very clearly, like, a Western, but also, like, a crime story. And whoever, like, wrote this doesn't know how to handle realistic crime characters. I get we're in a science fiction fantasy world, but yeah, but the whole point is you want believable, interesting characters. You want characters that feel real, regardless of how fantastic and bizarre the world is. That's what helps sell your story. It makes it enjoyable, and it makes people come back, which makes people, swear loyalty to your brand and become massive fans, like they kind of are of Star Wars, or at least they were until this kind of crap started coming out. And it doesn't feel like any criminal. It doesn't feel like any criminal is believable. Beckett was supposed to be the hardened guy who taught Han how to be a crook, and it's just like he doesn't do anything believable as a criminal. It's like if he wouldn't have come back for them. I can't wait for how it should have ended for Solo, and guaranteed, Daniel Baxter's going to have a scene where they're running out. Oh, please stop, and they're just going to fly away because there's no reason to pick them up. Oh, I feel something good about this. He winds up bringing this kind of weird, bizarre attachment to him. And then he starts treating him like he's like he's a dad to him, and when he tells him not to trust anybody, and either direction, it doesn't make sense. If he actually does genuinely feel something for them and cares about them, then he wouldn't be this distant. And if he's just trying to bullshit them, if he's going to betray them eventually, or might have to betray them eventually, he's not going to get that close personally. It's like the way to do this right is Firefly. Look at Malcolm Reynolds. Look at Jane. Look at any criminal character seen in the Firefly universe. That's how your criminals should be acting in this. That's how you do a sci-fi Western and do it well. Or go to the Land of the Rising Sun and check out Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop knows how to handle this pretty well. Although, the bounty hunters of the Bebop are pretty much good guys, although not perfect. They're look at the criminals of that show to basically get an idea of how to do this. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to make this convincing. At the end of the day, All the characters that are expected to be good guys are good and noble, including criminals. Val sacrifices herself for no fucking reason. None whatsoever. She's like making this defiant stand. When you guys are crooks. It's like, say what you want about Suicide Squad, and it's like, oh, we're the bad guys. At least you guys admitted that you're criminals and you're the bad guys, even though you said it a few too many times. This movie, it doesn't know what it's fucking doing. So I mean, it's genuinely bad. It's genuinely, every time there's a little bit. If I can say something positive, again, there are good ideas in this movie. But I think a lot of those ideas are borrowed from previous source material, from the expanded universe. I refuse to call it Legends. And I think a lot of that is also, there's like 1 or 2 decent action scenes. That chase scene, like, early on in the movie really bothered me. That really bothered me. It's like, what, you have a hover car? Why are you on a bridge? A bridge is something you do use when you can't fly. It's like, that bothered the shit out of me. There are a couple cool ideas, like, again, the big space Azathoth monster. That's a cool idea. A crime boss that uses knives. That's a cool idea. Even like Lady Proxima, the big worm monster. That's a cool idea. But all of them are executed poorly and often undermined immediately. Yeah, it's a genuinely bad moving and continuing par the course for crappy Star Wars. But again, don't lose hope. Don't lose help, Rebellion. Don't lose hope out there. Again, you can hear this. You are the resistance. You are the rebellion. It looks like we're winning. We got this. Kathleen Kennedy. We don't have confirmation, but it would certainly appear that she's on her way out. And we just got to keep up the fight. And hopefully they'll put someone. Hopefully Bob will put someone who knows what the hell they're doing in charge, and we'll be good to go from there. And if not, we'll be right back protesting again. That's what we're gonna do. I say we don't stop complaining about this until not only do we get good Star Wars movies again, but we also get our expanded universe back. And you know what? You can keep some of the stuff. You can keep Rogue One. You can keep Rebels. You can keep, hell, if you do it right and make it make sense, you can even keep Force Awakens. But you got to actually, you got to do some extra effort, and you got to actually make it make sense with the continuity previously established. You can't just come up to us and tell us that basically these stories that are precious to us are no longer canon. Not if you want to keep us as fans. So, but yeah. Anyway, the long and short of it is Solo was bad. Y'all knew this. Y'all knew Solo was gonna be bad. So this may be a little redundant to me, but I figured I had to do it. I've done several other reviews for movies I've seen this year. Want to tell you about Solo. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. Again, if I always try to be positive. If to say it better, it's better. Like if I can make some kind of recommendation, or if like it's better than watching like nothing, I guess. It's like if you've got nothing else to watch. I think I want to say SE Reviews said this. If there's nothing else on in your board, it's something you can put on in the background. But even then, if you're a casual Star Wars fan and you don't care about the continuity like crazy people like me do, you'll probably not see anything wrong with it, or you could probably just put it on the background. If you're a Star Wars fan though, it's a little annoying, especially when L3 shows up. And it's kind of infuriating seeing them get this wrong. It's like it was like it's interesting as a bad movie, but it's insulting. So I'd say it's genuinely a bad movie. I cannot in good consciousness recommend Solo. Keep up the boycott. Don't see this movie. If you do see it for free or something, like rent it on a Redbox. Do not support this film in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that is my opinion of Solo. So, Rebellion, this is the Dread Pirates sailing off once again. See you next time.